Probably the layers and depth of artistry, allowing yourself to be that vulnerable on stage. But it's funny because it kind of sneaks up on you. It's not like we ever got acting classes, or I think you just, as you grow older and accept more and more who you are, you become more and more confident in that. You sit in it and then you show it. And it's kind of like take it or leave it. The more you can just be and experience and feel and then give back, I feel like that's the the secret concoction to really enjoying and growing yourself to develop.
I'm Caitlin, a former professional ballerina turned dance educator and career mentor, and this is the Brainy Ballerina podcast. I am here for the aspiring professional ballerina who wants to learn what it really takes to build a smart and sustainable career in the dance industry. I'm peeling back the curtain of the professional dance world with open and honest conversations about the realities of becoming a professional dancer. Come along to gain the knowledge and inspiration you need to succeed in a dance career on your terms. Hello and welcome to the Brainy Ballerina podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin Sloan, and I am joined today by Holly Dorger. Holly is a principal ballerina with the Royal Danish Ballet, and I have known Holly since we were kids dancing in Michigan, and I am so excited to reconnect today. Holly, will you paint a picture for us? What time of day is it for you? Where are you? Did you have rehearsal today? Set the scene.
Yeah, set the scene. Okay, I'm in Copenhagen, Denmark. We have a beautiful sunshine day. It's 4:00 in the afternoon, and actually I had the day off today.
Ooh.
So I tried to be a Viking and I went winter bathing with my boyfriend.
Wow, what's that?
So they're pretty hardcore. The Danes have a tradition of going in the sauna and then hopping into the ocean.
Oh.
And you do that 3 times. When I first moved out here, I was like, never. I'm never doing that. That's crazy. Like, it's freezing.
Yeah.
We live in Scandinavia, but I have to say, I love it. They got me.
Okay.
I do it now, and I love it. It feels so good on the body. So I had a show of Don Q on Saturday. So the recovery.
Yeah.
Oh.
Amazing. Okay, I love that. Okay, let's go back to the beginning of your dance journey. I would love to hear why you took your very first dance class.
Yeah, I have to give all credit to my mom on that one. My mom has always loved ballet. She did it herself, not professionally, but she just, even throughout her adult life, took ballet classes. And so when I was born, she was taking ballet classes and she would have me sit in the corner and I would just watch. And that kind of led to the next thing, which led to the typical every, 3-4-year-old little girl wants that tutu and wand, and that was exactly me. So my mom introduced me to ballet, 100%.
And can you share about what your training was like growing up?
Yeah, so, I mean, you and I were together for, gosh, was it like 10 years at least?
Something like that.
Something
Yeah,
like
I don't even know.
Yeah, so I was born in Dallas, Texas, but I moved to Michigan when I was about 4 years old. So right around the time when ballet really entered my life. Then you and I went to Cornelia's School of Dance around Detroit, Michigan for years. And then I did Highland dancing on the side. I would almost say more my first love of dance than even ballet. I would compete every weekend and travel with my family. And at 10, I became the United States champion for Highland.
I was going to say, you say you did it on the side, but you were like
yeah, maybe ballet
champion.
was on the side. Maybe it's the opposite. Yeah. I loved Highland dancing. I loved it. The bagpipes. I don't know. It was so set, and yeah, the competition side of it. I loved Highland. And then when I was about 11, you have to be 12 to go to Worlds. So I was too young. And there's not as much of a future in Highland dancing as there can be in ballet. And so ballet started to become more the focus. And then when I was 14, I auditioned for SAB, School of American Ballet summer program. And that kind of started the way to New York. No, I moved to New York at 14. So at 12, I went to the summer program. That's right.
How many years did you go to the summer program before you ended up year round? So two
2 years.
years, and then you moved to New York? Okay.
Yeah, 2 years, then I moved to New York. Yeah.
And when you started doing, Balanchine training, that kind of thing, was it like an instant love for that style? What did you feel?
I have to say yes, instant. It really refreshed ballet for me because as much as the classic ballets and adagio and all of that is so beautiful, I'm the type of dancer that I can bore myself while doing adagio. I can be like, why do I have to like 8 counts to get my leg up? Like Sleeping Beauty. I learned the pas de deux this past season, and I remember I was out like on count 3, and they were like, no, 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 Holly, you have like 16 counts. I just remember being like, okay. So I really clicked with the speed of Balanchine, dancing fast and really enjoying the challenge of that and not having necessarily a story, even though I love dancing story ballets now. There was something that really captivated me about like just me dancing that I loved.
And how did you feel about moving away from home at 14?
I would say it was definitely mixed emotions. Of course, I was super excited to be asked, and it's a dream come true moment, but there is that thought of, well, should we wait till next year? Like 14 is really young. Maybe I would be a stronger person by 15. I know my parents definitely had opinions about, and they didn't agree. I think they like had a lot of arguments over this decision, but ultimately I am really grateful that I went and that we went all in, but it was a challenging move.
So at that age, are you staying in the dorms?
I did. I stayed in the
Okay.
dorms, yeah, in New York. There were, I think, is it like 8 girls in a room? Like everybody has their own bed and all that, but like in the suites. Yeah.
Wow. How do you feel like your training at SAB prepared you for your professional career?
I definitely 100% give complete credit to SAB for technique and stuff. I would not be the dancer I am today if they hadn't instilled that, especially the legs, that repeat point work. Oh my gosh, I loved Suki Shore's point class and Katrina Killian. You learn to play, like with music and timing. You get strong because they demand it from you. For me, it sparked a curiosity. So I was always curious of like, there's that challenge. Okay, you did 2 pirouettes, but can you do 3? Like they would kind of challenge you, and I really loved that. So I definitely give credit for technique, ballet technique to SAB. There's some amazing teachers out there.
Yeah. Coming out of your senior year, how did you land your contract at Royal Danish Ballet? Were you hoping to stay
Yeah,
in New York?
I was a full scholarship kid at SAB. The year before, I did choleric and 4 temperaments. There was a lot of promising signs for me to be hopeful to get into New York City Ballet. But I didn't, as it goes. And they had pulled me aside before audition season had really started, like in early January. And they said that Nikolai Huber spoke to Peter Martins and they made a deal, kind of. Nikolai was going to leave the New York City Ballet as a principal dancer and take over the Royal Danish Ballet as the director, as he is Danish and coming home and all that. And he wanted to bring one kid back from New York to help introduce or more introduce the style of Balanchine to the Danish company. And that was me. But the deal was kind of, I wasn't given like a choice. And maybe Peter didn't want me at all, right? Like it's one of those things I'll never really know, but the universe pushed me in this direction and I ended up coming to Denmark. But at first I was actually really devastated. I definitely had big hopes and dreams to be in New York City Ballet. So I was really shocked and didn't see all the good at first when I was offered Denmark.
Yeah, what was it like starting your professional career in a foreign country? Were there some big learning curves you had to overcome in the ballet company, but also just in your daily life.
Yeah, definitely. I was lonely. Going from like a dorm where you're used to kind of always somebody coming in or coming out, or just it's always active in the dormitory, to then move across the ocean, new language, new culture, no friends. The only person I knew was Nikolai Huba, and I lived by myself, which maybe looking back was a mistake. I was really lonely. I will say there's good English in Denmark. Like, it's incredible. Everyone really does speak wonderful English, but it's a different culture, right? So things run different. Things close a lot earlier, like 4 p.m. You have to call the doctor between 8 and 9 a.m. That's the only time you can call the doctor. Like, there's just weird differences that you don't expect. And there are conveniences that I take for granted in America that they're just not over here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What was your rehearsal schedule like? What was your dancing schedule like? Was it very different from SAB?
Yeah, rehearsal schedule here is, we're very fortunate. We have class from 10 to 11:30, and then you have like a 10-minute break, and then 11:40 to 1:30 you have the first chunk. Then you have lunch from 1:30 to 2:15, and then 2:15 to 4 you have like the second chunk. And then some days from 4:15 to 6:15 they can call you for overtime, which they actually pay you extra to do. It's a nice schedule. You finish by 4. I mean, you usually stay in the gym until 6 anyways, because you're stretching or doing an exercise or whatever. But the work-life balance thing really is a thing here in Denmark, and all branches try to give that to you.
Can you talk any more about some of the, I guess, perks of dancing for a European company versus companies in the States?
Yeah, I mean, the first one that jumps out is you get a pension, which is like unheard of, I believe, in the US,
Unheard
unless,
of.
yeah, right?
Unheard of, honestly, even now for like a corporate job.
What?
Well, my dad didn't, but like my father-in-law had a pension, but like my husband will never see that. That's not something they're even doing anymore for
Wow.
any kind of job. So that's really incredible.
Wow, that's a shock. Okay, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So so over here when you turn 40, you're forced to retire. So that has a pro and a con. Like, some people are
Mm,
ready to retire, and some people could keep going for 2 or 3 more years, but you don't really have a choice. Like, because we're government employed, the government said 40, so it's 40. At least with the Royal Danish Ballet. You could continue dancing outside of the Royal Danish Ballet. But with the Royal Danish, 40 years old. But then you get a pension for the rest of your life. And I mean,
wow.
it's not enough to like just sit back and, drink coffee during the day, but it definitely helps, of course. And when you have that transition period of, okay, I've been a ballerina for 20 years, now what? You have a cushion to lean on, which is, I mean, that's a huge gift. So that's definitely a big.
Yeah. I want to get into that area, that kind of transition and everything, because I didn't realize that 40 is not so far away for you, right?
No.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's talk about that in a minute, but I want to still learn more about your beginnings
Yep.
with Royal Danish Ballet. So, what was your first major role that you danced?
Yeah. Okay. My first solo was, I did was it pas de trois, pas de cat, in Swan Lake. I think it was pas de cat. Might have been pas de trois. But I did that. That was like my first solo. And then I did lead marzipan, bluebird, and then gamzati. And then after I did that, I got promoted to soloist. So those were like some of my first big opportunity roles.
And how did you feel getting those opportunities? Were you nervous? Were you excited? What was your emotion around that?
Ooh. I'm for sure probably nervous, but excited, because I think when you especially move countries to dance, you feel a bit like, yes, like I'm doing it. Now is the moment. Like, show them. We made it this far. You literally crossed the ocean. You've been waiting for this moment. Get out there and do it. So as nervous as I probably was, I am the type of person of, as soon as I step foot on that stage, now I'm having fun. So I'm sure the nerves blurred into just joy as soon as I stepped out there.
Let's pause this episode so I can tell you about one of my favorite resources for dancers, Ballet Help Desk. If you've been loving the Brainy Ballerina podcast, you'll want to add the Ballet Help Desk pod to your list. This is the premier podcast for dance parents, and hosts Brett and Jenny share weekly expert insights on supporting your students' ballet education. They cover key topics like summer intensives, ballet competitions, full-time and post-grad training, health and wellness, boys in ballet, and more to help your dancer make the most informed decisions about their unique training path. Another one of my favorite resources from Ballet Help Desk is their reviews. Head to their website for over 1,400 reviews on summer intensives and year-round training programs. And while you're at it, submit your review to help other dancers and their families make important decisions about their future. The more transparency in the dance world, the better. Head to the show notes to visit the Ballet Help Desk website today. How did you find out that you were promoted to principal?
To principal? Principal, over here, it's a very beautiful tradition, but it's a lot. I was dancing theme and variations, balancing. So I think it was my second to last show of theme. And what they do is you do your show, and during the bows, then my boss at the time, Nikolai Huba, stepped out in front of the curtain, and he had a microphone on, and he spoke in Danish. He said a really beautiful speech, like calling me a diamond in the company, and then he said, "She is now our new principal ballerina of the Royal Danish Ballet." And then there's a big dun 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 from the orchestra, and you get a huge bouquet of flowers, and they send you forward and back, and you bow, and they stand, and it's marvelous. It's overwhelming. It's honestly also, there's a part of it that's awkward because you are standing in front of the rest of your company where there is half the people wishing it was them. Some of them think you don't deserve it. Some of them support it. So, I mean, it's a lot of emotions. For me, it always feels like it's a really big moment, of course, but for the people who are there and for the theater, versus I've always wondered, I think I would have been equally just as excited if my boss had called me into the dressing room and been like, "Skull, you're a principal now, like keep going, just keep doing your thing." And I've been like, "Gotcha." So
Yeah.
I don't know, it's a lot, and it's beautiful, but it is a lot.
Did you have an inkling that was going to happen that day, or was it a complete surprise?
You're supposed to say it's a complete surprise. That's what they kind of prep you to say. I mean, come on. If you've been doing principal roles for 2-3 years, I'm like, it's an insult to my intelligence to be like, I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it was going to be that night. I had an inkling that it would be on that production because theme and variations, balancing, Holly, New York. I mean, it made sense. I had done Swan Lake. I had done like Swan Queen. I had done Etudes. I had been doing lead role after lead role. I didn't expect it, but I was hoping for it. Otherwise, I would have a decision to make. Like, should I stay? Should I go? You know, but you don't know when.
Yeah. What has been your favorite role that you've danced in your career?
I guess I have some categories.
Yeah.
I think the one that surprised me the most was Giselle. It wasn't a ballet that I really grew up watching. Of course, I knew what it was, and I've seen clips from it, but I didn't know how powerful of a ballet it really is and how much really everyone can relate to it. That sweet innocence of falling in love and then that betrayal. I really think everyone has been through something that stings in the heart, and that's exactly what Giselle goes through, and then she chooses forgiveness. So like I love that arc and what you hope you do in your own life. Like that one really touched me. I really love Giselle. But then on like a flip side, I think I've never had more fun than Alice. She had so much stage time, so much acting, interesting steps. Like we did Christopher Wheeldon's version, and there were some turns that I'd never tried before in my life, and I really got determined because I saw the Royal Ballet with Lauren, doing it, and I was so blown away by her that I was like, I want to do that too. And so I would come in on Sunday and just practice those turns over and over and over and try to make sure I could do it as well. And then, of course, balancing. Like any balancing ballet, as soon as it's announced in the rep, I am like jumping up and down, so excited that we get to dance those steps, because I think he's a magic. I think balancing is magic.
What's your process for getting into one of the story ballets, for finding your character?
I take my own life and try to like lay it on the floor. I have found the most therapeutic way to deal with traumas or the plot twists that life throws you is to put it into, especially a story ballet. The more vulnerable you can allow yourself to be up on that stage, you're healing yourself, letting you tap into those inner scars that you wouldn't necessarily just open up and say to the random stranger, but because you're dancing it, you're not using your words, it's somehow even more personal and yet kind of still protected, because they're only interpreting what you put out there versus me saying a fact. Story ballets are a gift, just a gift for surviving life's plot twists.
Are you comfortable sharing any specific examples of a time you've used something from your life to kind of inspire your character?
Yeah. I went through a very bad divorce about 3 years ago. And I was an open wound on that stage. And like the day before opening night of Giselle, I was in divorce court. I mean, it was ugly. It was raw. He wouldn't sign the paperwork. I couldn't get out of it. It turned into a nightmare. And just to be literally experiencing that betrayal of like real life, of like, this is actually what's happening right now, to then go out on stage. I cried on that stage. You could see I was crying. Like, in the end, that definitely,
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry, Holly.
plot twist.
Yeah.
It's all good now.
But I do love that advice, of taking those things that you're feeling, and dance can be such a powerful way of just a cathartic experience.
Yeah.
Like you said, of being able to use that to spur whatever it is you need to feel, like leaving it on the dance floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. You need real therapy too, but
probably
both.
that's a start.
Not just you, and everyone.
It's always a good idea.
Yeah. Do you have a dream role that you haven't danced yet that you would like to do?
Ooh, I love playing human. Like, I love the Giselle. I love the Keytree. But I've never done Juliet. I've never done Manon, and I've never done Onegin. So I think some of these big human characters I would love to interpret and tap into.
Are those ballets that Royal Danish does on the rep?
Romeo and Juliet, yes, but it's been a little while. Onegin we haven't done for like 18 years, like a really long time. And Manon we did when I first joined the company, and I was the mistress, which was super, super fun. But we haven't done it again for at least 10 years. They're not ones that come as often.
You don't see them really in the States at all.
No.
I've only seen those I've seen Romeo and Juliet in the States, but Onegin and Manon I've only seen in Europe. Like, you just don't see them as much here.
Yeah. Hey, they're big ballets and costumes and the whole emotional spectrum. But then I also would love to do like Coppelia. I just love those variations. I think she's cute. She's happy. Just looks like fun dancing. And then anything balancing, anything, I'll do it. I would love to do it.
Having been with the company for so long now, the style is Bournonville, correct? Like the traditional style. So how do you feel like you have, I guess, acclimated to that style? Do you still feel like you are balancing at heart?
I mean, I will say whenever balancing comes in the rep, that feels like going home. Like, it just makes sense. The heads, the way you tilt the head, it falls into place. The musicality, it just clicks. Bournonville, It's more round and soft, and the head to me is always going the wrong way. But it's very sweet. Especially the girl rolls are just usually very, very sweet. I enjoy the jumps. I like to jump petit allegro. I find you can make it so clean, and I love clean. So I definitely enjoy them. But to be honest, I do certain roles in Bournonville, but I've never been cast in other roles. For instance, La Sylphide. I did it when I was in the Corps. I've done it in galas all over the world as the main sylph. But here in Copenhagen, I've never been the sylph. And I don't think they seem like, I don't think I ever will be necessarily. I don't know. I get the feisty ones. I get the the lover or the slut. The one that's like a bit of a character. I do Teresina. She's always considered quite feisty. I do Birta, the troll, like she's crazy. They cast me in that category a little bit more than the romantic category.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do a lot of guesting and that kind of thing too?
I've been very lucky. Yeah. I get to do a few galas a year. This past Christmas, I got invited to Palermo to dance their version of the Nutcracker. I mean, I was so excited. That was a huge honor. It was kamikaze, but the best thing ever. And then throw on, I was really sick. Like, I was so sick. You know when you fly and your ears just never unpop and your head gets, and then I couldn't stop coughing. And then it's on a raked stage, 5%, and the coda was fouette turns. I mean, I was like, can I do this? But I did it, and I loved it. They were amazing.
Is your stage at Royal Danish raked?
No.
No, okay.
Yeah.
That always blows my mind.
I oh my gosh. I used to say I would quit ballet if I had danced on a rake stage, and then Palermo called and I was like, I'm coming. I will dance on a rake stage. It's scary. You have to the weight thing is real. You like promenades? That was weird because you would have to start by pushing your weight back, but then halfway kind of push it forward and then go back. Like those were weird.
Oh.
Fouettes were okay because you just kind of put the spot a bit higher and just remember that keep your weight back. And then once you go, you go.
Okay, well, that's like my go-to is I always tend to be too far back. So I feel like I should just go dance on a rake stage and then I would probably be fine. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
A really fun fact that I love about you is that you were knighted by the Queen of Denmark.
Yeah.
Can you share about that experience?
Yeah. I remember I was 26. I had just gotten promoted to principal and I received a letter in the mail and it was in Danish. And at this point, I would say I'm pretty good at Danish. I've become a Dane. I have the passport and all that, but I still am not the best at Danish. No matter how hard I try, So I got this letter and I read through it and I was like, I think that's what that means. I remember being like, do they still knight people? Like that's still a thing? Like, am I reading this right? And it was. Yeah. So you meet the queen one-on-one. Now we have a king, but it was a queen. I was nervous. I really wanted to speak Danish to her. And I did. But the one thing I did forget is that the palace, all the floors are like marble. And I had brand new high heels on. Oh my, it was so slippery. I took the tiniest like penguin steps to get to her and I was so embarrassed. Like it felt like forever to get up to her. And then, she's sitting down and she's all elegant and she's like, I love coming to the ballet and blah, blah, blah. And then you're not supposed to turn your back. So then all the way penguin steps backwards. Oh my gosh. I had that like awkward smile on my face. Like, I'm so sorry. This is taking me so long. I'm trying not to fall down. Oh my God. And then I really was trying to open the door, but without turning my back, but I couldn't find the door handle. And I was like, she must be laughing about this. Like, oh my gosh. I was very embarrassed, but It was very sweet.
That is really, really funny and really cute, and I love that. So, like, does it come with certain honors? Like, do you have anything important now that you have to do, or?
You get a medal, but you're
Okay.
only allowed to wear the medal in the presence of the queen. So
Oh.
you don't wear it. I mean, like, it's on my shelf and I love it, but that's where it stays. And then there was one day where we were told the queen is coming and she wants to meet the dancers after the show. And so I was like, oh, I can bring my medal. But because I was in a ballet costume, I wasn't allowed to wear the medal. So I've never really gotten to wear the medal, but I have the medal. And funny fact, you actually have to pay for the medal. I didn't expect that. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And then when you die, you can't like keep it in the family. You have to give it back to the state.
Do they give you your money back?
Probably not. Yeah. Yeah. So it's an honor, of course. And, I'm super humbled to have it. But there's a few funny like catches, like you're writing a check.
Yeah. That's so interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. There is so much dancers need to learn as they pursue a professional dance career. It can be completely overwhelming. Where do you even start? With your intention. To me, this is the first step in defining success on your terms. Once you have an intention for your career based on your core values, you can begin to hone in on a strategy to make your goals a reality. But without it, you will always feel out of alignment, out of control, and ultimately unfulfilled in your career. So, how do you figure out what success means to you? With the Brainy Ballerina Intentional Career Handbook. This is not just your ordinary book. The Intentional Career Handbook walks you through everything you need to think about as you embark on your dance career. With over 50 guided question prompts, you will dive deep into determining what really matters to you in a dance career based on your individual core values. By the end of this handbook, you will not only be crystal clear on your goals, but in the mindset you need to make it happen. Tap the link in the show notes to download your copy today and start pursuing your dance career with intention. Let's talk about what's next for you in your career. So I think that's so interesting that you were saying earlier that you have a forced retirement at 40.
Mm-hmm.
How far away are you from that?
I'm 5 years away, 35.
Okay. So how are you feeling about that? In the grand scheme of things, I feel like in the course of our dancer career, that's still a pretty big chunk because our careers are so short to begin with, but it's still something I'm sure you're thinking about. What are your thoughts for what's next for you, or
Yeah.
how you're going to navigate?
Oh, yeah. It's one of those big questions. In many ways, I feel better than ever, artistically developed more, and technique wise, feel I'm even more confident when I step out. So, in many ways, I don't feel ready to even start thinking that way. But I can feel they're bringing up the younger generation and they start saying things to you like, well, we want to push the younger generation. So we're going to kind of like hide you a little bit here. So we give more opportunities there. And it starts getting in your head a little bit. And part of me thinks that's kind of sad because I think both things can happen at the same time. But there is an underlying like hard reality of course the next generation is going to be the one to replace you, and it's starting now. I always thought I had a few more years though. I thought like 38, 39 would be when it started happening, but you can start to feel it already now. There's a famous, or one of our dancers or somebody once said that, ballerina dies twice, and I really like to view it more as, a ballerina gets born twice. Ballet obviously is a huge thing in my life, and I will always be doing ballet, whether it's teaching or just dancing myself or finding little projects. But I do also think there's a lot more in life than ballet. And I think when we're so hyper focused on one thing, we cut other opportunities without even necessarily knowing that we're doing it because we're obsessed with this thing. It's not like we don't want to do it. We love it. We're dying to do it. But then what happens when that is taken away? Maybe some of those other opportunities you're going to love just as much. You just didn't know it yet. So I'm trying to remain pretty open about it all. I'm excited. I think life pushes you in directions and you grab those opportunities and like surf those waves. And I dream of being an author one day. I would love to write a book. I already dabble with teaching, and I really, really enjoy, especially like teaching the kids. Maybe continue that. But I don't know. Maybe I would go back to school, or maybe I would. I don't know. But I'm open.
Yeah. Do you see yourself staying in Denmark?
I mean, at this point, like, let's see, it's been 17 years. Truthfully, it could go either way because I feel like you never know. And of course, my family is in America, my mom and dad, my brother, and they're getting older and all that jazz. So you always are attached to your home country. But at the same time, my life's here, right? My connections are here, my friends are here. And if they're not here in Denmark, it's in Europe versus America is, I mean, I would love to dance more in America. I think it would be so fun to be on home soil, but my life has brought me over here and it can be hard to get opportunities so far away, you know? So we'll see.
What are some of the things that you like to do when you're not dancing?
Well, what do I do? I feel like I'm always up to something, but now that you ask me, like I'm always running around. I'm like a little busy. I do teach a lot. I really do, between 5 and 7 classes a week. I love the winter bathing. Kid you not, I really adapted that. We try to go about twice a week. I do write a lot. Right now it's more like journal and that genre, but you'll find me quite often sitting typing. Of course, I read sometimes, go for long walks, coffee, have a beer.
Yeah. One thing that I love to ask people, because I feel like, you look at a dancer like you with this illustrious career and you're amazing and beautiful and all the things, but like we all have times where we mess up or we make a mistake or whatever. Things happen. We're human beings. So I'm curious if you have any like maybe funny or just maybe interesting stories about times where something's gone wrong for you.
When it comes to the actual shows, like, I mean, knock on wood, usually shows, somehow I call it stage magic. Like, there's something magical and it comes together, and yes, but there's been some good rehearsal mistakes. I mean, the classic, like right now we're doing Don Quixote. You bet I've dropped that fan. Even not even trying to open it. I just dropped it. Like, there was no reason to drop it. I remember in Apollo, this is a long time ago, but there's these like chugs, and I went the wrong way compared to everyone else. But that was just kind of funny because then, you all of a sudden face each other and you're like, oh, hi. One of us is wrong. I mean, of course, I've fallen down. I remember I was doing a rehearsal of That's Life from Twyla Tharp's Come Fly Away. And I was running backwards in heels and I just completely wiped out, like on my back, on my butt, dress in the air. We were in rehearsal, so we could all just laugh. It was really funny. Actually, you know what? I think the worst thing I've ever done to myself, it was again a rehearsal, but I was playing Beerta, which is the crazy troll in the Bournonville Ballet, a folktale. And she has a tantrum and she's like hitting the floor. You have a lot of freedom. You can do more or less what you want. And so I like to throw both my arms and both my legs and kind of land on my tummy and then like do like a 2-year-old tantrum. I hit my head on the ground. I gave myself a concussion.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I didn't tell anyone because I was so afraid. Don't do this. Like, please tell people. But I was so afraid that they would pull me because I gave myself a concussion that I didn't tell anyone. But like the wiggle of the brain, you can feel that.
Scary.
That was
scary.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Luckily, the next 2 days after I did it, I didn't have any rehearsals. So I just kind of laid low. And I kept quiet.
I love that you can laugh at it now and all the stories. I think that's such an important part of this career is being able to laugh at yourself because things happen.
100%. 100%. If you can keep comedy in the room, that's the best atmosphere to really blossom in. And my former boss, Nikolai Huber, he was really good at that. He would tease you, but you could also tease him back. So there was a really comfortable dynamic that just, at least for me, yeah, you just grew and blossomed and wanted to give everything because it was just so much fun.
In 17 years as a professional dancer, how do you feel like you have grown and changed from where you were as 18-year-old Holly?
Probably the layers and depth of artistry, allowing yourself to be that vulnerable on stage. But it's funny because it kind of sneaks up on you. It's not like we ever got acting classes, or I think you just, as you grow older and accept more and more who you are, you become more and more confident in that. You sit in it and then you show it. And it's kind of like take it or leave it. The more you can just be and experience and feel and then give back, I feel like that's the secret concoction to really enjoying and growing yourself to develop.
Okay, last question for you. What advice would you give to an aspiring dancer who's pursuing their professional career?
I always like to say, no matter what plan like you think it's going to be, or the route that you think you're going to take, or you think that school is going to get you into that company and da-da-da, it never works the way you think it's going to work. Like there's always a plot twist. Life always will throw you a curveball. The fun thing is that it could lead you to somewhere even more exciting than you could have ever predicted. So like keep going, because you don't know what seems to be like a downer could just be putting you on the right path for something you would have never imagined. So keep going.
Yeah, I would love to read your memoir, Plot Twists. I feel like that's your
Plot twist.
You said that a few times, yeah.
Just because I've been hit with some that I'm like, okay, what?
Yeah, but you've navigated them all so gracefully, and it's just been such an honor as someone who knew you as a kid to see you now as a grown woman, and following your career has been very special for me to see. So thank you for taking the time to chat with me today, and I've just really loved getting to see you. For anyone who is listening who wants to learn more about you, where can we find you?
You can find me on the Instagram, just Holly Dorger. I have a website if you are in Copenhagen and can come to a show, where I try to keep my performance dates as updated as possible. And that's also just hollydorger.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Holly. This was wonderful.
Thank you, Caitlin. So good to see you.
You too. Thank you for tuning in to the Brainy Ballerina podcast. If you found this episode insightful, entertaining, or maybe a bit of both, I would so appreciate you taking a moment to leave a rating and hit subscribe. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode, and you'll join our community of dancers passionate about building a smart and sustainable career in the dance industry. Plus, your ratings help others discover the show too. I'll be back with a new episode next week. In the meantime, be sure to follow along on Instagram at The Brainy Ballerina for your daily dose of dance career guidance.